Assalamu alaikum students. I am over here with my next lecture, and in this lecture we will discuss your chapter number 5 of your English book of 9th class. The name of this chapter is Daffodils. Yes, daffodils. As the name is depicting that today's lecture is very fascinating and you can learn more about nature and its impact on the life of human beings. In this chapter, we will focus upon all these things which will help us not only to recognize not only to understand the concepts of the exercise, but also to understand the techniques of grammar which are used in your poem also. We will learn in this unit poet's point of view, that how a poet defines or describes different things in front of you in the form of a poem. Theme of the poem, what is the theme of this specific poem, and we will learn the techniques of imagery, and while learning the technique of imagery we will learn it through the complete description by following these figure of speech. Because when we learn about the figure of speech, we will easily be able to learn about imagery in the poem, not only in this poem, but by following this technique we can find out the imagery in all the poems while we are going through the poetry. We know the technique of paraphrasing the poem, we will know about the summary skills, and we will learn about reference context of the poem, present and past participles. I will tell you about present and past participles, and we will learn about connotation and innotation, and we will learn about conjunction also. Here I am going to tell you about the first objective which we have to discuss today. I am going towards the poet's point of view. William Wordsworth is a poet which has been memorized by his passion for nature in pages of history. He is a remarkable figure who has a strong grip to grasp out the nature's impact on the life of human beings in the form of words. In this poem, for this reason, he is known as the poet of the nature. In this poem, he is also depicting in front of you a nature's beauty as precisely and as accurately as you have never seen before. Nature has different type of impacts on the life of human beings, but with the eye of the poet, when you will see on this part of nature, you will learn that how beautiful and how mesmerizing effect the nature has on the life of a person. In this poem, I am going to tell you about the theme of the poem. The poet is going to describe that different type of moments have a special effect on the life of human beings, explaining in front of us the time he has spent at the bank of a lake, and he is going to tell us about the beauty he saw in the beautiful flowers of daffodils. And in this poem we will learn how beautifully he sees that flowers, how he used the technique of imagery and paraphrase to excite feelings. Now I am coming towards the grammatical techniques that we will learn in this poem. We will learn about the figure of speeches in this poem. The first technique which we will learn is to know what are the figure of speeches and how these figure of speeches are used in the different type of poems. Now you can see on the screen that here is a chart for you which will help you to learn about all the figure of speeches and especially about the use of imagery in the poem. You can see on the screen. First I am going to tell you what is imagery. Imagery is the use of language that appeals to the five senses in order to help the reader imagine exactly what is being described. Yes, if you are describe something in the form of such language that it is going to fascinate your senses, that the things that you are going to describe in front of the reader that this thing has a mesmerizing effect on the minds of the reader, then this is known as imagery, and the words which you use to convert the image of that thing into an effective image towards the minds of the people is known as the imagery. Now on the screen you can see that I have given you figures of speeches over here. There are 7 figure of speeches which you have to deal while you are going to describe a poem. You have to know about simile, metaphor, personification, apostrophe, hyperbole, euphemism and parable. Now I am coming towards simile. What is a simile? It is a Latin word that means like. In simile, two things or actions are interlinked. For example, she is beautiful like a rose. Here the beauty of a girl is going to interlinked with the beauty of a rose. So the rose is a simile in this passage. Now I am coming towards metaphor. Metaphor is an implied comparison without the use of any comparative word. He is a shining star. Here there is no simile which is used to depict his brilliance. Now I am coming towards personification. It is called a visible representation of something abstract. As a quality, the fog comes on little cat feet. Sandberg, you can see at that. Okay, apostrophe. An apostrophe is the address of a usually absent person or a usually personified thing rhetorically. We voted for higher teachers' salaries. Okay, here teachers are an apostrophe. Hyperbole. It is a figure of speech in which exaggeration of words is made on a statement in order to create impressiveness. You are beautiful than rainbow colors. Here the beauty of someone is to be comparisoned out with the colors of rainbow. Now I am coming towards euphemism. By using a euphemism, we speak in a softened and milder form to give the expression of unpleasant thing. He told us a cook and bull story. A lie. Aslam is very plain. Parable. It is a short fictitious story that illustrates moral attitude on a religious principle. In some ways, his life is a parable of the corrupting effect of great wealth, for he always assumed that everyone was after his money and out to cheat him. So now I am coming towards the paraphrase of the poem. When you are paraphrasing a poem, you need to use your own words to explain the main idea for each line. Paraphrasing doesn't mean you need to analyze the poem. The main purpose of such an assignment is to rephrase the ideas in your own words and style without addressing the hidden message left by the original author. What is the difference between paraphrasing and explanation of the poem? While you are going to explain a poem, explain a passage, then you are going to give us the main as well as the hidden idea of that passage described by the author. And if you are going to paraphrase the poem, then you have to give only the idea that is going to depict in front of you. No need to depict all the things which are behind the lines or behind the words. That is, you have not to explain each and every line in depth. You have to give the meaning of each and every line paraphrasely. Yes, you have to give the meaning precisely in the form of simple words. It is known as paraphrasing, and if you are going to give the detailed meaning of that passage, then it is an explanation of that passage. Now I am coming towards reference and context. Yes, what is the reference and context of the poem? In the reference of each and every poem, you are going to give the idea that from where these lines have been taken out and by which poet these lines have been written out. What is the meaning of this? For example, here on the screen, I am going to display a paragraph which has been taken from the poem Daffodils. So the reference of these lines, what will be the reference of these lines? I will say that these lines have been taken out from the poem Daffodils, and this poem is written by William Wordsworth, which is known as the poet of the nature. This is known as the reference with which we are able to understand that from where these lines have been taken out. Now I am coming towards summary of the poem. Which skills you have to follow to write out the summary? You should have a complete grip on the theme and on the key points of the poem which you are going to summarize. In this poem, the main theme that the writer wants to tell us about the moments which grasp out our feelings and how we are going to describe, how we will be able to describe those moments by using the imagery and all type of figure of speeches in the form of a poem. Now I am going to tell you that how you will be able to write a summary. When you are going to write a summary, you should know about the theme of the poem. You should have a complete grip on the key points of the poem which are going to be discussed out. First, in the introductory paragraph, you have to give out the theme of the poem. Then in the next paragraph, you have to discuss all the points which are important from the poem in 2 to 3 lines. From each point will be discussed out in 2 lines maximum. Okay, for example, if there are 2, 3, 4 passages, then you have to summarize each passage in 2 to 3 lines. Then you will get 6 to 7 or 8 lines after summarizing each and every passage. Now I am coming towards the conclusion of the summary. When you are going to conclude, or when you are going to write out the end of that summary, you have to give out exactly main theme of that poem which you have discussed in the introductory lines in another way in the concluding lines. Then it will be a most effective and most powerful way of writing a summary. Now I am coming towards connotation and innotation. Okay, connotation is of 2 types, positive and negative. What type of connotation? We will say that it is positive. We bought inexpensive souvenirs at the amusement park. Here inexpensive is a positive connotation. I ate a moist sandwich. I am a bargain shopper. Now I am coming towards negative. We bought cheap souvenirs at the amusement park. Inexpensive, if the word inexpensive is used, it also means cheap. But the language is so soft and so mild that we will say it a positive connotation. And if I am coming towards a cheap word, then it is a negative connotation. I ate a soggy sandwich. Instead of moist, the soggy word is negative connotation. I am a cheapskate. Instead of bargainer, it is a negative connotation. So connotation is the use. So we can say that connotation is the selection of words, that how we are going to express our feelings and express our description in the form of words. If we are using mild, soft, respectable words, then this is the positive connotation. And if we are going to disregard those feelings, and we are going to disregard this personality which we are going to discuss out, then this description will be taken out as negative connotation. Now I am coming towards conjunction. Yes, conjunction, we have discussed it before in my previous lectures. You can take complete description from that lecture, but I am going to give you a smaller brief description over here. Conjunctions are the words which are going to join out different situation, 1 or 2 type of situation. If the weather will be sunny, then I will go to the beach. Here then is a connotation. I am not going to school because I am ill. Here because word is a conjunction. Now this type of words, but, because, if, then, all these type of words are come in the category of conjunction. Okay students, here in this lecture I have given you a complete description of all the grammatical concepts and the concepts which are specifically related to poetry, so that you will be able to grasp out and you will be able to solve out all the activities which come across the poem and which come across the exercise of that poem, so that you will be able to read daffodils in a new way. In my next lecture I will be over there with complete description of the poem, and in the third part of my lecture you will completely solve out the exercise with the help of my first lecture. So don't forget to see all parts of my lecture, because it will not possible for you to analyze the complete chapter without going through all the parts of my lecture. So students, wait for my next lecture. Till then, Allah Hafiz.